Hello, and welcome back to ResilientWalk. If you've found your way here today, perhaps you're carrying something heavy. Not in your hands, but in your heart. Maybe it's the weight of dreams you once held close, dreams that now feel distant, like stars you can no longer reach. Before we begin our journey together, if this moment brings you even a breath of peace, I invite you to like this video and join our quiet community by subscribing. And in the comments below, share with us one small dream, even the tiniest one that still whispers to you in quiet moments. Now, settle in. Close your eyes if you can. Let's travel together to a small village where snow clings to slate rooftops like forgotten prayers. In this village, there lived a man named Elian. His hands were strong and weathered, scarred by years of working with fire and glass. Each morning, he would rise before dawn, stoke the coals of his furnace, and begin his work. The rhythmic dance was always the same: heat the glass, shape it, cool it, repeat. Bowls for the baker, bottles for the apothecary. Simple window panes for the new houses being built on the hillside. Practical things, necessary things. Things that put bread on his table and kept the cold mountain winds from seeping through his own windows. Elian's workshop was small, but orderly. Tools hung in precise rows. Sand and silica stood ready in wooden barrels. And there, on a high shelf, gathering dust like a forgotten season, sat a leather-bound sketchbook. Every evening, after the furnace had cooled down, the village had settled into sleep, Elian would glance at that sketchbook. Just a glance, never more, for within its pages lived dreams from another time, intricate drawings of glass sculptures that defied gravity, creations that served no purpose except to catch light and transform it into something beautiful. These were dreams he had cherished once, when his hands were younger and his heart more foolish. Dreams of making art not for coin or commission, but for the simple, sacred act of bringing beauty into the world. Dreams of glass that danced like flame, sculptures that seemed to breathe with inner light. But life, as it so often does, had other plans. The practical called louder than the passionate. The urgent crowded out the sacred. And slowly, like snow melting in spring, those dreams had simply faded, or so he told himself. Winter arrived early that year, harsh and unforgiving. The mountain passes closed, and the village turned inward, gathering around fires and shared stories. It was during this time that the village council made an announcement that stirred the entire community. They would build a grand hall, a place for gatherings, celebrations, and the long winter evenings when stories needed a proper home. Local artisans were called upon to contribute their skills. The carpenter would craft the beams. The stoneworker would lay the foundation. The weaver would create tapestries. And Elian would make the windows. Simple, clear window panes, nothing more. Nothing that would challenge him or call upon the dormant fire that still flickered, barely alive, in the corner of his heart. That night, alone in his workshop, Elian reached for a piece of firewood to feed his dying hearth. His elbow caught the edge of a shelf, and something fell, the sound of leather hitting stone, pages fluttering like wings. The sketchbook lay open on the floor, and there, staring up at him through the amber light of his oil lamp, was a drawing from decades past. A sculpture of impossible delicacy, glass shaped like frozen flame, each curve a whisper, each line a song he had never sung. His knees gave way. He knelt beside the open book, his weathered fingers tracing lines he had drawn when the world still felt infinite with possibility. Page after page revealed forgotten visions, glass birds that seemed ready to take flight, flowers that captured sunlight and held it like honey, abstract forms that spoke in a language beyond words. Outside, The wind howled against his windows, those simple, practical windows that kept him safe but revealed nothing of the fire within. What had he become? What had he lost by choosing safety over soul? The question circled like wolves in the darkness of his heart. Unable to sleep, unable to quiet the storm raging in his chest, Alian wrapped his woolen cloak around his shoulders and ventured into the winter night. His feet carried him, without conscious thought, to a small cottage on the edge of the village. Here lived Myra, once the village's most celebrated painter, now keeper of plants and growing things. Light glowed golden through her greenhouse windows, and inside, improbably, impossibly, life bloomed in defiance of winter. She was tending to her vines when he knocked wild, unruly things that climbed toward the glass ceiling in riots of green and purple, orange and deep crimson. The air was thick with the scent of earth and growth, warm against his cold cheeks. "Alian," she said without surprise, as if she had been expecting him. "Come, sit." They sat in silence for a while, surrounded by this secret garden that seemed to exist outside of time. Finally, Alian spoke, his voice rough with grief. "I found my old drawings tonight. Dreams I had, dreams abandoned." Myra's hands continued their gentle work, coaxing a stubborn vine toward the light. "Abandoned, or simply set aside. Does it matter? They're gone. I'm too old now, my hands shake, my eyes aren't what they were. I chose the practical path, and now you think it's too late." Myra's voice was soft, but there was something in it, not pity, but understanding. "Let me tell you something, dear friend, not all seeds we plant take root in the earth. Some bloom only in our minds, in our hearts. But even those flowers, they have fragrance." She gestured to her wild garden. "Look around you. Do you think I painted all the colors I imagined? Do you think every vision found its way to canvas? Some remain dreams, but dreams, Alian, dreams are not failures. They are the roots from which all creation grows. Your hands may shake now," she continued, "and your eyes may not see as clearly. But you have something you didn't have when you drew those pictures. You have lived. You have loved and lost, struggled and survived. You have earned the right to create, not for perfection, but for joy. Not for others, but for the part of yourself that still remembers how to dream." She touched a particularly wild vine, one that seemed to grow in impossible directions. "Create something, Alian, not for the village, not for coin. Create something as a gift to the young man you once were, to the dreams that have waited so patiently in the darkness." The next morning, Alian stood before his furnace as he had thousands of times before. But something was different. Instead of reaching for the sand and silica for window glass, his hands moved toward materials he hadn't touched in years. His movements were deliberate, almost ceremonial. He fed the fire not just with coal, but with intention, with purpose, with something that felt dangerously close to hope. The glass responded to his touch like an old friend, worn and yielding. But his hands did shake, there was no denying that. The sculpture that emerged was not the perfect vision from his sketchbook. It was flawed, asymmetrical in places. The flame-like curves wavered where once they might have been smooth. But it glowed. It glowed with something more precious than perfection. It glowed with authenticity, with the trembling courage of dreams finally given breath, with the beauty that comes not from flawless execution, but from the willingness to try, to risk, to create in spite of fear. For 3 days, Alian worked, not frantically, but with the measured pace of a man who had finally made peace with time. He shaped not just glass, but decades of longing. He crafted not just a sculpture, but a bridge between who he had been and who he could still become. When the grand hall was completed, Alian arrived quietly one evening, carrying his creation wrapped in soft cloth. He placed it on a simple table near the great hearth. No ceremony, no announcement, no name attached. Just a piece of light made solid, a dream finally given form. The sculpture caught the firelight and transformed it, casting patterns on the walls that seemed to dance and breathe. And in its glow, something beautiful happened. Others began to remember. The blacksmith recalled songs he used to sing while working the iron. The weaver remembered patterns she had dreamed but never dared to create. The baker thought of cakes shaped like flowers, impractical but beautiful. One by one, the villagers began to bring their own forgotten dreams to light. Not all of them, not perfectly, but enough. Enough to remember that they were more than their daily tasks, more than their practical needs. They were beings capable of wonder, creators of beauty, keepers of dreams. And Alian returned to his workshop each morning, still making bowls and balls. But now, when evening came, he no longer glanced away from his sketchbook. Instead, he opened it. He drew new dreams beside the old ones. He created small sculptures, some successful, some not, but all of them real. He had learned something profound in the glow of his creation. That dreams don't have expiration dates. That creativity doesn't diminish with age. It deepens, gains weight, becomes more precious precisely because we understand how rare and fragile it is. And so we return, you and I, from that small mountain village to wherever you are now. Perhaps you're thinking of your own sketchbook, literal or metaphorical. Perhaps you're remembering dreams you once held close, visions you've set aside in the name of practicality or time. Alian's story reminds us that our unspoken dreams are not failures. They are not signs of weakness or proof of wasted time. They are seeds that have been waiting for the right season, the right light, the right moment when we're brave enough to let them grow. Your hands may shake now, your eyes may not see as clearly as they once did. Your circumstances may be different than when you first dared to dream. But you have something now that you didn't have then. You have lived. You have survived. You have earned the wisdom that comes only through time and experience. The dreams that whisper to you in quiet moments. They're not taunting you with what you've lost. They're inviting you to what you might still become. They're reminding you that it's never too late for beauty. Never too late for wonder, never too late to honor the creative spark that makes you uniquely, magnificently human. So perhaps today, you might dust off your own sketchbook. Perhaps you might listen to those whispers and decide they deserve more than silence. Perhaps you might create something not for perfection, not for others, but as a gift to the dreamer who still lives within you. The echo of unspoken dreams doesn't have to remain an echo forever. Sometimes, with courage and grace, it can become a song. Thank you for taking this journey with me today. If this story brought you a moment of peace or possibility, please share it with someone who might need to remember their own inner light. Rest well, dream boldly, and remember your story still being written. Until next time, be gentle with yourself.